Well, thank you, Lian, for taking care of the music this week. And everybody, welcome to Liberty X Happy Hour. Really quick, as we're getting started, one more time, I want you guys to go ahead and tap on the nest. Unfortunately, we don't have a pill tonight, and I'm not sure what I did wrong when I scheduled the space. I think it's just X glitching one more time, unfortunately. But you can go to the nest at the top, tap that quick link there, and then repost the space. Send it to your friends, get it in your DM rooms. Let's get some people in here to talk to Dr. Kat. So, welcome to episode 9 of Liberty X Happy Hour. We're so happy to have you here, Dr. Kat. And our show is all about faith, hope, and purpose, as you guys just heard. And we're excited for you and to have this conversation with you tonight, Dr. Kat. And we'll get to that in just a moment. Fido's going to introduce you guys. I just want to remind the audience that at Liberty X, we do things a little different. We have an interview first with Dr. Kat. The host and the co-host will ask questions, and we're going to give our listeners a chance to chime in. We'll open it up for audience questions and comments. You can request a mic. You can do it anytime, actually. Just we ask that you just kind of keep your mic muted until we're done with the interview part. And then our co-host will kind of vet you and bring you up if you're a new person and we don't know you. If you bring up topics unrelated to our guests, we'll give you one chance to kind of course correct, and then we'll put you back to listening. We'll let you listen, but we won't let you derail the space. But a few simple rules. When we do bring you up as speaker, go ahead and raise your hand. Don't unmute until we call your name. One of our co-hosts will call your name, or I will. Obviously, don't talk over each other. I don't think we're going to have that kind of a space tonight. We don't generally have that kind of space, so don't talk over each other. Keep it brief. Don't fly a long airplane. Don't act like you're going from LA to Fresno and landing, and it takes forever, and your ears are bursting in the meantime. Keep it respectful. We don't allow profanity in here. If it slips one time, fine, but definitely don't use the Lord's name in vain. I will remove you. It's just a hard, fast rule for us and the co-hosts. So I'm Iron Patriot. If you guys don't know me, I'm huge into books. I'm huge in having educational conversations with people, really getting to know stories, because that's how we learn. We anchor things that we know to stories, and dialogue can only happen if people kind of talk one at a time. That's who I'm all about. I do post about politics. I am involved in our local politics, as is Fido. My co-host happens to be my best friend in real life, who was a 20-year Navy veteran and a commander who really cares about veterans and raising awareness about PTSD and mental health. So hopefully we'll have some relevant questions for that tonight. And then, of course, Land of Illusion. She's not really an illusion, I don't think, to me, because I feel like I know her now. I feel like she's like a sister to me now. But Land keeps a close eye on politics. So if you're interested in politics and her take on things and seeing really cool graphics, you guys might want to follow her. Maybe even consider subscribing to her and to our guest tonight, who is Dr. Kat. She has subscriptions open also. It helps us support our work. This is a hobby for many of us, and we do it because we care about what's going on in our country, what's going on in our world. So follow Land, follow Fido, follow myself. It helps get you a seat up here if you want to talk with our guest. Land is also an amazing graphic person. She's getting really, really good at this. So she creates a lot of our graphics and helps get the word out. So we appreciate all you do, Land, for the show. And so tonight we've got a great guest. So I'm going to turn things over to Fido to do our guest intro, and then we'll jump into the interview piece. So once again, welcome everybody. Thank you for being here, Dr. Kat. We're so happy to have you, and looking forward to this conversation.
Thank you, Iron.
Hey. Yeah, thanks, Iron. Just so you guys know, so I'm Fido, so I'm one of the co-hosts here too. And it's kind of funny, we were having Dr. Kat on, and we've been planning this for a few weeks. And then the week prior to her coming on, I had a whole bunch of health issues going on in my family. I spent a lot of the last couple of weeks with my father down in the hospital in Florida, so got to know all kinds of doctors and different things. But luckily, I see him in the audience here tonight, so that's amazing that he's out. And my wife is a personal trainer, and she's always trying to get me in shape. She's my resident health and fitness expert and looking up everything. So she'll be a huge fan of this. But we just want to welcome you tonight, Dr. Kat. So we know you've just been kind of all over the place. You've been interviewed by Charlie Kirk, by Newsmax, Neil Oliver, Brett Weinstein, and so many others. You received the Global Champion Award for your outstanding leadership and your tireless advocacy on the world stage, especially championing the Parents' Healthcare Bill of Rights and fighting to protect our children. I know that you weren't originally an American, that you were born in Split, Croatia. So you'll probably recognize her accent when she starts talking, as you usually can recognize her voice in any space she goes on. Just before the war tore through Yugoslavia. So as a fighter guy, a lot of my fellow pilots were fighting in the war in Croatia and fighting to stop the fighting and stop all the ethnic cleansing going on there between the Serbs and the Croats, and really just trying to stop all of that happening. So a lot of those people and the huge horrors that were there, they saw those things firsthand. You obviously understand what it knows to actually respect freedom and have freedom, and what it means when it's taken away from you, which so many people today don't. So you're also a mother of 5 kids. I don't know how you have time for all this as you continue to fight for our medical freedom and informed consent and healing that we have through your own medical practice. So you're still doing that and the Global Health Project. And then I see you all the time talking about spaces and helping to host spaces like the Punch Bowl that I've seen you hosting before. You've also spoken a lot about all the things that are happening in our world today about COVID vaccines and what it means. Originally, you started talking about when President Trump got elected, then talking about his selection of his health and secretary. But some of the things I don't think you necessarily fully agreed with what he's doing now. Originally, it was working through some of his fighting against what we're eating and food dyes and the different medicines and how we get. But it seems like they've gone a little bit different way. So is that what we have? So we just want to welcome you, Dr. Kat. So over to you.
Thank you guys for having me. You kind of summarized a lot, so.
Oh yeah, it was a lot of territory, but we're just so happy that you're here with us. I don't know how you could do all that, honestly. So just saying it made me tired, let alone all the things that you must go through.
I'd love to get to her personal background, actually, if I can go with that. As Fido mentioned, you were born in Split, Croatia, and just before the war in Yugoslavia, and later came to America as a legal immigrant. And that's a extremely powerful journey. Can you share what those early experiences were like and how they shaped the way you practice medicine and fight for patient and children's rights today?
So I grew up in Yugoslavia. We were a communist country under Josip Broz Tito. He died in 1980. And then after his death, so Yugoslavia was made out of 5 republics and 2 provinces. We have Croatia, Serbia, Bosnia, Herzegovina, Slovenia, and Montenegro. And then we also had Slavonia and Kosovo as our provinces. So one thing about Tito, he was considered a dictator. He was definitely a communist, really more of a socialist. But he was able to do what no one has been able to do throughout our history, which is hold us all together under one flag. After he died, you had these different fractions deciding and saying that they should be in charge of the country. And essentially, from 1980 to 1990, we had a lot of infightings, and essentially, towards the end of the 80s, the civil war started. First, Serbia attacked Slovenia, and this is where our first lady is from. They attacked Slovenia, but they're kind of farther away from Slovenia, and Slovenia is very mountainous, so they were able to hold them back pretty fast. After that, they went after Croatia, but Croatia again was much stronger than them, and they tried going after our coast, and most of the naval army that we consider is really Croatian. So they were not able to win that war, but that one lasted for a little while. And then essentially the civil war expanded to Bosnia and Herzegovina, and that's when it got really bloody and really bad. And there is a great movie with, I'm terrible with names, so you guys are gonna have to play Jeopardy, because you guys are gonna have to figure out the name of the actor. I'm terrible.
Okay. It sounds like me. I'm the same way.
Okay, I remember the name of the actor, Owen Wilson. Now I have to remember the name of the movie. The movie is about a U.S. Army pilot who got shot down in Bosnia, and it's a true story. But again, it's a movie, so it's a Hollywood version of true story. But he was shot down in
Yep.
Bosnia, and he had to go behind enemy lines. And Americans were told by NATO to leave him. They were not supposed to rescue him, but whoever was in charge of the ship, I forget his ranking, he decided to go against it. It was Hackman. Gene Hackman was the general or whatever. And he said, no, we don't leave Americans behind. So he went and saved him. But the good thing about that movie and the true story behind that was the pilot was able to get films of what was happening in Bosnia, because essentially Serbian army was killing innocent civilians, and NATO and the blue helmets were not doing their job. And there is another great movie, I'll try to remember the name, which is also a documentary of a UN female worker who was specifically working in crimes against humanity division, who uncovered the whole network of human trafficking that was happening in Bosnia. And I'm
Is
sorry,
it
I know it's
Lisa Beersay?
no, that's not the movie. I'll remember the movie. It's with the French actress. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I'll remember the movie eventually. But that one is also a great movie because it really kind of highlighted what was happening during the Civil War. And
Yeah, the first one was Behind Enemy
yes,
Lines is the
thank you,
name of the
Fido.
movie with
Yes.
Owen Wilson.
And I was going to say, Fido, with your military experience, you know how terrible wars are. But I think there is nothing worse than civil wars, because you have cousins, friends, relatives go against each other over whatever reason. When it comes to Yugoslavia, we were told that our war was because of our faith and political issues or whatever, because Croatians are Catholics, Slovenians are Catholics, but Bosnians are Muslims, and Serbs are Greek Orthodox. But again, this war was never about our religions. This war was about money. And essentially in Yugoslavia, you had Croatia and Slovenia putting the most amount of money into the big pot, and the other provinces not doing as much. So they decided they wanted to have their own independent countries, which Serbia didn't like. So they attacked other countries. So that's kind of the story about the war. And I am kind of just giving you highlights, but it was a very difficult time for me because I did have cousins in the war. I was 18 at the time. I just graduated high school, and my family kind of knew that the war was going to happen. It was inevitable. And they decided to send me off to Italy to be a nanny. So I was, and it's like so dramatic when I say it. And now I kind of, when I say it, it's almost like I'm reading a book because, I'm so used to it. But I was really an 18-year-old innocent kid who didn't really speak Italian. I understood it because Dalmatian dialect is very similar to Italian, but I didn't speak Italian. I had one suitcase to my name, my passport, and my family put me on this ferry that went from Zadar. It might have been Šibenik, I forget. It's a neighboring town. It went from my neighboring town to a town in across the sea, the Adriatic Sea, to Ancona. That's the name of the Italian town. And I landed, in this port, got myself on a train to Venice, and the Italian family picked me up in Venice and drove me to my new home. But one thing I didn't know is that next day, my hometown would be an attack. And I had very hard time speaking with my family for several months because they were under sniper attacks. And so I kind of grew up fast.
I honestly can't imagine that. I really can't. You need to write a book or a movie a documentary about your life, because I think things like this need to be heard from the actual person. It's so important, and that is heartbreaking to me. And also, you are so strong to be where you are now, to have gone through all of that. Thank you for sharing that.
I had
Yeah,
a really,
I can't even imagine. Yeah, go ahead, Dr. Kat.
no, I was going to say, so I sing in church, and there is a song called Never Once. It's by, guys, stop it. My dogs are right next to me playing like crazy. Okay, is by, I want to say Matt Redman, and I'm seeing Matt's name, so I know it's because I see Matt Youngblood on my screen. I'm thinking it's Matt, but anyway. So the song is called.
I can look it up for you.
Thank you. It's called
I
Never.
just did. It is Matt Redman, 2011. Never once.
So there is a story behind this song. It's called Never Once. He was living in Atlanta, going back to England. He sent his family back home, and the house was empty. And he wrote this song, Never Once. And the song essentially goes, standing on this mountaintop, looking just how far I've gone, knowing that in every step you were with me. And then the chorus goes, never once never once have I
we
ever
walk
walked
alone.
alone, never once have I been on my own, essentially. So it's really funny. So
Yep.
I sing in church, and when I sing, I'm always worried that people are not, that I'm gonna mess up the lines. So I look at the words of the song, but this time, instead of like looking at the words, I was seeing flashbacks of my life. Seriously, like I'm not even exaggerating. I was seeing like when I was young, and then when I decided to come to the States, and the family that kind of got me here, and then I decided to go to medical school, and the family that helped me get there, and then when I decided to do family residency, there was a doctor that helped me. So I was seeing my life in flashbacks. And the point to this part of the story is, I know you said like you can't imagine how I did it, but I have to tell you, God was always there. Every time there was a crossroad for me to go one way or the other, God put a person in that spot, and that person was like, okay, come this way. So anyway, it wasn't a bad life. I had a good life, and I have a good life.
Amen. Amen. Thanks.
That's amazing. So that is like the perfect lead in. So you talked about your hard experiences as a child, and I certainly have witnessed firsthand the horrors that war has, and the personal stories about people fighting in Bosnia and Herzegovina and Serbia, and what ethnic cleansing really means. It means people that know each other killing each other very up close and personal, and families being torn apart, and the worst of humanity, essentially. And that's really why we were fighting there, was to stop that from happening and stop that. And it worked. When the U.S. got involved, it did work. So that was amazing. But we all have a huge faith here at Liberty X Happy Hour, and I know that you said that that's the case in your life as well, that God has led you through so many difficult times. How do you see that faith that you have, and how did you come to that faith, first of all? And then how did it influence when you said you went to medical school? And then how did it influence your practice as a doctor, trying to look at the whole person, your mind, your body, and your spirit, instead of just healing your physical illnesses?
So I was raised Catholic, and I was always a quiet child, very much introverted. They used to tease me I was going to be a nun. I was really the only one in my house that was going to church. And then when I went to Italy, it was easy to continue being Catholic, uh, because the Mass is the same. Um, and then I came, I lived in England for a little while. I didn't really go to church in England. But then when I came to the States, you guys have different denominations. And I did struggle with that a little. And at the time I was married, and my husband didn't really like Catholic church. So we started going to different churches. And over time, I've learned that it's not about the building, it's more about the family that you're part of. Also because I'm very much introverted, and I, when, like I said, I wasn't speaking Italian when I went to Italy, so it took me a little while to learn the language. And the same thing when I was in England, I wasn't really speaking English at the time. So I kind of live in my head a lot. And my faith has always been kind of quiet. It's been my faith. Um, and when it came to the way I practice, I don't, you know, I share it with my patients, but kind of in my own. Like I always struggled with the American. I kind of call it like Walmart religion. When I sometimes like we would go to a church and they're like, "Oh, you're supposed to be an apostle and you're supposed to like evangelize everyone and stuff like that." I struggle with like that aspect of kind of American faith. I feel like that's too loud. I'm not like someone that will go to Walmart and share my faith, but I do it with my patients one on one, especially when I see the need for it. But I don't teach, I don't beat them over the head with it. Um, I kind of just tell them how I feel and ultimately just encourage them to have their own relationship with God. Because I always feel that it's not, some of you may not like my position on abortion, but I'll give you my position on abortion. I find abortion to be a sin. I find abortion to be not something that I would ever participate in. For me, a baby starts at conception. That said, it is not my job to beat someone over the head because of it. So if I have someone who asks my opinion on it, I will say I know that that's not something I could do. I hope my children never ever have to make that decision, and I hope that I've given them tools not to make it. But I will not. I am not the judge and jury. This is something that person has to personally be between them and their God and their faith. Now, as conservatives, we're supposed to judge everyone. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm not judge or jury. At the end of the day, I will not be judging anyone, and I will be judged for my own sins. And believe me, I have many as everyone else. So that's how I feel about abortion. And I think this is probably the biggest issue where Republicans don't know how to handle it because they don't even some of them don't even necessarily even believe in it. They just say it because they feel like they have to. I think if they were just honest and one day sat with the Bible and figure out their own feelings about it, they wouldn't have any issues at all with it.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. So, I mean, I have my own version, sort of, I mean, the same as what you're saying. So, through my own experience, have come to believe that life has a cost and that taking a life has a cost, both to yourself and to what's happened to somebody else. So, I believe that just like you said, that life begins at conception and there's a new life, and that taking that life through an abortion or through any other means, there's a cost to that will be paid. And women have the the gift and the responsibility both of bringing that life from when it becomes a life until it's able to survive on its own and to be born. And I, as a man, can't understand that cost, and the women are the ones who really have to pay that cost. So it's not, like you said, my job to be the judge, jury, and executioner of what other people do. And God can literally forgive anything, which I am 100% believer. And beating people over the head does not help you to be forgiven. And when you think people are going to be judged by you, that's not what God shows us. It's like God brings us forgiveness and love for anything that we've done that's wrong, even if we know it. So thank you for sharing how you feel about it. And I just couldn't help myself from sharing that. So I'll hand it over to Iron to the next thing. So
Yeah, I'll say one more thing about that. If any woman is facing that decision with hopefully their significant other by their side, my big thing as a conservative is what me and my wife were gifted, had the wonderful and amazing gift, and Fido knows this because he's our kid's godparent, one of the two, but that we have two amazing kids that we adopted. And we would have never had a family had it not been for the adoption process. And I wish that that could be a bigger part of our conversation, even perhaps a requirement for people to consider that as an alternative so that they don't have to live with the cost of taking another life. Because to me, that just, I can't even imagine having to live and move forward with that decision. So I'm with you on that, and agree with you wholeheartedly, Dr. Cat. But let's kind of dig a little bit into your work with. I know that you've done a lot more work on the fellowship side of things, but I know you've got your direct primary care practice, which I think is different and unique, at least from what I've read about it. And the Global Health Project, you've got that, and I know you said that work isn't as much now. You've been doing a little bit more in your fellowship space. So I was hoping you could share a little bit about that work and how people can support it, as well as just maybe talk about a couple of practical things that you might think families should really know about to start talking about their health, right? And why our system is broken. And then I think we'll head into a couple more questions with Maha and open it up for the audience.
So I wanted to be a pediatric oncologist until I did a month of pediatric oncology at Miami Children's Hospital, and I found it extremely heartbreaking. So I decided to do family medicine because I liked the idea of, taking care of the babies and grandparents at the same time. So I chose family medicine. For the longest time, I wanted to just do my work and go home and be done with it. So I never wanted to go into private practice until one day I was a medical director of 5 clinics. I had, I think, 5 or 6 nurse practitioners under me, and I was going into a meeting, and I knew I'm getting a raise. They knew they're giving me a raise. It was just a question how much my raise is going to be. And the guy said to me that my only job is, I wanted to really, the clinics were practicing under my name. So I kind of wanted to get an idea, like, what was I responsible for? And the guy essentially said to me that my only job is to supervise the nurse practitioner and sign their notes. And I kind of had this, I'm one of those people that, like, I don't have a sight or anything like that, but I have premonitions or I have feelings. And I had a feeling I'm going to resign. So the night before I wrote the resignation. By the way, I'm going into a meeting to get the raise, right? And so I wrote the letter of resignation. I was just like, whatever, you better be ready. So anyway, so he told me my only job is to sign the notes of the nurse practitioners. And I was like, I didn't go to medical school for that. So I resigned on the spot. And I decided to open my practice. And instead of just opening a regular practice, I had a friend who kept on saying, you need to open direct primary care and this and that. So I was like, oh, okay, whatever. So I opened my practice with $5,000. I rented an office. I had my doctor's bag from medical school. I ordered strep tests and flu tests off of, essentially, direct primary care is practice where you don't take insurance. The patient pays you directly. They pay a membership fee. The rates usually go based on age, and my rates are 35 for kids, 60, 85, or 110 for adults, and that goes by age, up to 40, 40 to 64, and 65 and up. For that money, and I'm talking about $35 a month for a child, you have access to me 24/7. You can call me anytime. Like my patient called me last night at 10:30, tell me she has strep. You can text me anytime. You can do it on weekend or whatever. You can come see me as many times as you want. And you just pay this flat fee. So I started that in 2017, and then President Trump was elected, and he recognized that he wanted to change the healthcare system in the United States. And that's when they tried repealing Obamacare, but McCain was the vote against it. But I worked actually with Chip Roy and Ted Cruz and several others, but specifically 2 of them, on direct primary care and explaining how cash prices, if you pay for labs that cost $3 to $5 instead of costing 100 or 150 if you have insurance, is much more affordable. You can get chest X-ray, MRIs, and everything for cash price. So during this time, Trump 1.0, I worked with his administration directly and the Senate and House. in trying to get some things done. And one of the things that we did accomplish is the executive order called Transparency in Medicine, which made hospitals publish their prices. So everyone knew how much things cost. But then Biden came in power. He reversed that executive order, and now Trump issued it again. So now we have it again. So that's kind of when I realized, the system is totally broken. The patients are essentially screwed over, and they have to pay all these premiums and deductibles when the blood test that they really are paying their deductible for really costs $3.25 instead of $150. And then COVID happened. Um, I am good friends with all the COVID doctors, including Mary Talley. Everyone hears about Mary Talley Bowden. She's probably one of the loudest on X. Peter McCullough. What's his name? Robert Malone. Like he and I have traveled the world. So, I knew all of them, but I kind of sat back. I didn't necessarily talk right away. I just took care of my patients essentially for the first maybe few months. Called me. He's like, Kat, we're having this summit in Tyler, Texas, and you have to come. And I was like, okay. But what I actually, and they were talking about, the vaccine. By the time we were really talking about the treatment, this was before the vaccine. We were talking about the treatment and the fact that hydroxychloroquine, ivermectin, and nutraceuticals were helping. And we really need to, do something so the patients are not suffering. But what I talked about was communism, because what I struggled with were mandates. To me, the idea that a country like United States would mandate a product and different things to the patients and saying, well, if you don't do it, you're going to lose your job. I felt that's like so very un-American, and it's something that they do in communism. So that's what I talked about. And that kind of it started that way, but then the World Health Organization got involved, and World Health Organization pushed different mandates, and they started talking about pandemic treaty. And pandemic treaty essentially was, in my opinion, a war against sovereignty of the nations. Because if they passed the pandemic treaty at the time they wanted to pass it, they would be allowed to close the countries again just because they think there's another outbreak of something else around the world. So I spent a lot of time traveling around the world. I was in Brazil. I spoke in Italian parliament, in Croatian parliament, in Ireland, Sweden, different countries against the World Health Organization. And that was my interview with the Dark Horse podcast, specifically on the pandemic treaty. And I was in Geneva when they were able to pass the amendments to international health regulations, but they were not able to pass the pandemic treaty. And luckily, because of the work that we did with Dr. Meryl Nass and others, and Robert Malone was also part of this during those few years, we were able, with Frank Gaffney and some other leaders, to reach to the administration, and they wrote the executive order to exit the World Health Organization. So that's one of the big things that we were able to accomplish. And then since then, I've been also involved with Independent Medical Alliance, which is essentially a FLCCC, the group that originally spoke about ivermectin, and now it's a part of this independent group of doctors. And all we are trying to do is enlighten people that essentially you have to be in charge of your own health, right? The system of navigating the system and taking personal responsibility to making sure that you and your family stay healthy.
I could not agree more. First, I want to thank you on behalf of all of us, because I can't even imagine your frustration being on the ground doing that with, my dad used to tell me, you need to be a patient's advocate. I don't know if you know the movie Terms of Endearment, but I will go Shirley MacLaine on anybody in the hospital if they're not taking care of my loved ones. And that's the truth. We had a terrible situation when my nieces were 12. I'm not going to get into it, but that's kind of what shaped me into that. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart for fighting for that, because it was an awful time in history in our country. And I too could not believe what I was seeing, because I was essential at the time, a caretaker, and I saw everything that was going on. So I cannot thank you enough. Fido, I don't know if you wanted to say anything to that question that you had to her.
Oh, I was going to ask her really about the whole like evolution of MAHA and RFK Jr. I didn't know if you wanted to talk to her about awards,
Yeah.
because you got a whole bunch of awards, didn't you, Dr. Cat?
She got the Global Champion Award from the Independence Medical Alliance.
Yeah, the best
Oh
thing
yeah.
about that award is, and G's in space, and Sherry and Beth and Patrick and some others and Taylor. I think we were having dinner. This was at the Independent Medical Alliance a year ago at a conference, and I'm actually in charge of the fellows. So we were having dinner, and I really had no idea that we're gonna have the awards or anything. And I'm on the space with my friends having dinner, and all of a sudden they called my name, and I was like, "What is this?" It was kind of cute, but it was just just one of those things, and I'm very grateful for them for doing that. But I would say, when it comes to awards, it's like you do something because you love it, not because the award was really cherry on a. I'm a terrible. Just this is one funny thing about me, and G can tell you. Maybe she'll come up. I'm terrible at American sayings. You guys have American language actually doesn't make sense in other languages, as you know, because if you translate American specifically, word for word, there are sentences that you're like, what does this even mean? But those words together, mean something. So maybe G can share later.
Dr. Cat, don't worry, because I'm from America and I have a problem speaking our language.
Well, in Punchbowl, like one morning I said that I woke up on the wrong side of the foot instead of bed. I forget, but anyway, people are used to me butchering American slang because I just I don't remember it very well. But
As a teacher, Dr. Cat, idioms are the hardest thing to teach, and they have to be explicit, and they're so confusing and so doggone many of them, it just never makes sense. And then we have an alphabet from one language and borrowed words from this Latin root, this Greek root. I mean, it's no wonder even anybody will ever master English. So,
well, my grandmother her parents were from Italy, and she was born here in America, but she always mixed up her words too. And I'm like, I think I'm turning into my grandmother, because I do it all the time now, and my work laughs at me all the time. I'm like, just ignore me. I don't know what I'm trying to say, and I just walk away.
Well, I'm going to say, Dr. Cat, you hit a home run with champion our health and trying to get back to what really matters in all our health, and that's having good medical care and not worrying about the bills and having ridiculous bills that don't make any sense, and having us deal with insurance companies and all those other crazy things that have nothing to do with our health, but they have everything to do with our lives and our money and our finances and our government trying to control us. So I know that you had a whole huge evolution where you went from being an independent doctor and the Trump administration and trying to go through that. And when this new administration came, we had RFK Jr. and the MAHA movement, which you've been a big fan of, really the truth of it to make us actually healthy. And you posted when he first got in there with RFK Jr. that he was a man that was going to unite both sides of the aisle, because he had this vision to actually make us healthy and to get away from billing and insurance and all the things that cost us money and that cost us dearly, but don't actually help our health. But now we keep hearing this. So we talked about food dyes and we talked about all this other stuff, but we didn't talk about all these mRNA vaccines because there might be some value, blah, blah, blah. There's a huge amount of money and politics with this. So, and they kind of have lost their grassroots. So we've watched this happen too, but we wanted to ask you from your perspective, how can we focus and what should we actually be focused on our own health and just efforts that we can do in our own communities?
So I've always been MAGA myself, right? And just by extension of the work that I do, obviously you put the label of MAHA under me. But one thing that I understood very early on that most MAGA MAHA people don't understand. MAHA is very, I'm trying to find a nice word for it.
This is one exception.
Bougie.
If
I'm
you
gonna
need it,
use
there you go.
G's word. It's very bougie. In a sense, they have certain things that they like, but they're not true MAGA people at heart. And I think this is what is happening right now, right? You're seeing all of these influencers who were MAHA influencer. Hold on, I need to hear my dog.
That's what I was.
We got
My
dogs
dog
at
was
home
trying to
too.
climb on me, and she's huge. I'm like, you need to sit right here.
Yeah, you should hear me yell. So anyway, so you have these MAHA influencers who are really kind of, they almost, blow whichever way the wind blows. And right now, MAGA wind is not blowing their way. So they are anti-MAGA. And you hear that with a lot of criticism of President Trump. So, I'm very, stop it, Biscuit, stop. I'm very weary of MAHA people. Now, I'm not saying that there are not some great MAHA people in the world and they really want good things for us and all that, but I do feel like they have an agenda. So I've personally never been a huge RFK Jr. fan because RFK Jr., in my opinion, and again, this is only my opinion, so take it for all it's worth, is not worth much. He's a Democrat. He'll never be a conservative. He used to be for universal health care. Sure, he's against mRNA and he's against vaccines because we see a lot of damage, and that's a good point. But he's a trial lawyer as well, so that's kind of where he spent a lot of time. Autism is also another one of his fortes because he spent a lot of time with families that suffer from autism and has been trying to help them. So there are some intersections, I would say. But essentially, when you look at him, he's not what I consider a conservative. And I personally never liked the idea of him being in charge of HHS. And I don't know how many of you remember, but towards the end of the campaigning, President Trump actually started speaking about the vaccines because he was hearing from people that their people have been injured. Now, don't get me wrong, he still thinks the Operation Warp Speed is the best thing that's happened to our world. And, my caveat to that is the Operation Warp Speed was good, but the product you came up with was bad. So there is kind of, good and bad, but, he doesn't see it that way, which is fine. But my issue was he was starting to come towards this idea that there are vaccine injuries and we do need to look into it. And then you have Kali, no, is Kali a guy? I think Kali is a guy. Guy means whichever. Okay, thanks, Matt.
Yeah, you're
Then
correct.
you have Kali means all of a sudden comes out of nowhere. The guy came out of freaking nowhere. And we start talking about food dyes. And we start talking about, don't get me wrong, the food dye thing is good, but like G and Shell and AC and I always say, you have a choice to buy Fruit Loops or not. And if you are concerned about Fruit Loops, don't freaking buy Fruit Loops. mRNA, you didn't have a choice for a long time. Now you have a false choice. You have a choice when they're not recommending it, it's still on the schedule. So if you are a parent that has a pediatrician that keeps on badgering you over it, your child still might get it. So it's not really a win what has been done. And that's my big criticism, that despite the fact that we know that there is people who have been seriously injured, we have reports in VAERS about deaths of children. We have even Pfizer admits, Pfizer says it, that we have myocarditis in adolescent boys. You have an increased incidence. Why are these things still on the market? But hey, the food dye is not on the market. And yes, we switched the pyramid, so now we can eat more protein and less oatmeal and cereal. But again, mRNA is still on the market. So this is the big fail as far as I'm concerned. And I don't necessarily put this all on RFK Jr.'s shoulders. I put as much blame on FDA, Dr. Marty Makary, who I've known from the previous administration and was never really impressed with him. Dr. Oz being in charge of CMS is laughable. The guy hasn't billed insurance for so long. I don't think he even knows what CPT codes are. So, and then again, going back to MAHA, there are MAHA moms who are amazing, and don't get so that there's definitely MAHA sentiment that's great. But I would say MAHA influencers just look which way the wind blows, and all of a sudden they're not happy with certain things the president and administration are doing, and they're making fun of them and stuff like that. That's why I don't truly believe in MAHA coalition. As far as I'm concerned, whether they are here or not for midterms, I could care less because, in my opinion, they're not true conservatives. So I don't really need them going forward. But again, I'll probably get a shit ton of DMs after this, and that will be fun.
No, you're fine. I guess I'll stop eating the marshmallows out of my husband's Lucky Charms that he insists on bringing home. I am the culprit of stealing all of them out of there, and I'm going to give it up right now. Tom, or Iron, sorry, I think you had something to say.
No, I didn't have anything to say. I'm gonna let Kat close us out with the last question later on. But I do want. I saw there were some hands up. So for audience, go ahead and request a mic now if you're not up and you want to come ask Dr. Kat a question around MAHA or anything else health related and what she's doing. And then we'll close it out with you with a final question and final thoughts, Dr. Kat. Okay.
Matt, I think.
And yeah, I'm not seeing hands, so
I see
on you
Matt,
as
Matt,
co-host.
G, and Shell. That's what I see. Go ahead.
Well, well, to be fair, you had to know G and Shell were both going to show up here, and AC too. But anyway, Dr. Kat, I have a question for you. Is more along the personal lines, because given that you are an introvert, that's sort of your natural habitat. What was the catalyst for you being as outspoken as you are and doing all the work that you did during COVID? What exactly was the catalyst for that that pushed you outside of your comfort zone, that said, you know what, I got to get in this?
So I still don't. I still don't like speaking in public. I still get very kind of anxious, but I tend to not to prepare anything, and I just kind of tend to, Iron Patriots ask me like, I'll send you the questions that we'll ask you, and I'm like, no, don't. I don't want to know because
She's a lot like me. We're very much alike, Kat.
Yeah, I'm like, just ask whatever. Just because if I have to think about it, then I stress out more. So it's just kind of better to go for it. But what got me to do it really had to do with my kids. Because initially, I was very much an advocate for my profession. And that's kind of what I did during Trump 1.0, because the healthcare was broken. The doctors are essentially working for corporations and not serving the patients. I was really being an advocate for patients and my profession at the time. And then COVID was all about my kids. I was on the school board. I'm still on the school board, actually. The kids were locked down. They had to do Zoom. They had to wear masks. I was on the school board at the time, so my superintendent used to text me all the time and give me these scenarios. Okay, the kid tested positive, but he's not sick, and everyone at home is fine. How many days should we keep them home? It was like very arbitrary because CDC kept on changing their mind. So, the whole absurdity of what was happening and the whole mandate thing that I vehemently disagreed against because of what in my mind United States stands for, that's really why I spoke out. It was really my kids.
Thanks, Matt. Go ahead, Shell.
I believe G was next.
Okay, I'm sorry, I don't
It's
see hands.
okay. It's G. Shell.
You'll have to forgive me.
Shell, go ahead, because I have a question for Kat and a couple of comments. So I'll forego my time slot for you, dear.
Oh, looky there.
Oh, thank you, G. Now, Dr. Kat, you and I have dealt with a few things ourselves, but you have a pharmacy. What do I call it? Just like an online pharmacy that you offer to people that are across the country from you, live in different states and things like that. I was wondering, is that available to, the general public that wants to consult with you?
Oh, so that's not my pharmacy. I'm not affiliated with them, but you're right. I remember the pharmacy I gave you. I always have to text my friend and ask her again which one it is. But there is an online pharmacy that we use, and I'll think of it. But anyone can use that pharmacy. And if you need like to get ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, or different things, you can go all day
And you're
chemist.
you're able
That's
to write scripts for that pharmacy,
you actually
correct?
don't even need a script for it. That's
You
the funny
don't.
thing. You
Oh.
don't. It's called All Day Chemist. I think it's .com. You don't really need a script for it. You can just order the medication directly, and it's my friends and I have used it, but they all say it's very good medications. So, but I'm not affiliated with them, so I don't make any money. If you want to use it, you can. It's called All Day Chemist.
Well, we'll
Thank you.
make sure to do some links in the follow up on that, Dr. Cat, and maybe even do a quick update to the article to make sure that people know how to connect with you and your practice and some of those resources there. So thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, that's very important. I would love. I know we're going to go to the next question, but I'd like to talk to you offline about the remdesivir that killed a lot of people. Yeah. So diabetes, Brandy.
Hello,
I think
everyone. Oh, go ahead. No, you know what?
It's okay.
There
We'll
were
leave
people in
we'll
front of
leave
me.
G for the end because G and I
Oh,
have been really good friends. So we'll just leave her for the end.
I'm sorry,
nice.
G. I know you have comments too. I'm so sorry, G.
No, it's quite all right. I'd rather stay for the end because, like Kat said, we know each other very intimately.
Aw.
All right. Well, thank you, G. Mine will be quick. First, thank you, Dr. Cat, for sharing the truth on this platform. It's very important that doctors are heard, and I just want to say thank you to Liberty X for hosting you and having you on this app today. So I have my question, and it may be something, and I do understand if you have to say maybe you don't want to answer this to public, and that's fine. But going back, just thinking about vaccines, and I'm 50 years old, so of course there weren't that many when I was born compared to what there was when I had a child 20 something years ago now. So my question is this: in the average, well, I guess healthy isn't average. Okay, let me back up. In a healthy person that doesn't have any diagnosis, that doesn't take any medications, are there any vaccinations or shots, whatever we want to call them, depending on what you prefer, that you do believe we may need? I'm of the fierce thoughts now that God created our body, that if I have nothing going on, I need to take care of that and not put things in it. So I'm just curious if you think, in your opinion, knowing what you know, if there's anything that we should be getting for protection or so forth. Thank you.
So vaccine conversation is kind of difficult, and it has to be very personalized. And so I recommend everyone reads a book called Turtles All the Way Down. And specifically, there are two books. There is one that's a True Turtles All the Way Down that talks about vaccines. And then there is another book that someone actually made so people don't buy the actual book on vaccines. Essentially, what the book says is that we don't have a really true data on the vaccines, and that placebo trials haven't really been done. Placebo means that, like, I'm going to compare something that's saline versus something that has a product in it. What Aaron Seary has discovered, and these other scientists that wrote the book, is that the trials in the vaccines, even when they compared, let's say, MMR, they compared it with another vaccine. So the side effects that they gave were not truly done against placebo. So essentially, we need true data. And one good thing is we have Dr. Jay Bhattacharya at NIH, who has promised that there will be real trials. And now the question is it really ethical, knowing that we know that some vaccines do cause damage? So, it's a whole issue. Now, for an adult, what type of vaccines you need? Again, it has to go it has to be a personal conversation with your doctor. I still believe in the premise of a vaccine, because vaccine premise, and I'm not talking about mRNA, I'm talking about the actual traditional vaccine, says that they will give you something that's not really alive. It's killed, but we will introduce it in your body, and your body is going to recognize it as an intruder, and your body is going to figure out that it wants to fight it, so it's going to create an immunity against it. So next time you actually get infected by a real virus, a live virus like the one that they gave you, your body will recognize it and start acting against it right away. From physiological, immunological point of view, it really makes sense, right? Because we're giving you something that's not going to harm you, that your body will create a memory of and recognize it next time it does harm you. The problem again is that we don't have real data. So a lot of older adults are asked to get shingles vaccine. What we found is the ones that actually get shingles vaccines get sick with shingles because their immune system goes down, they end up developing shingles and stuff like that. So a lot of doctors are now questioning, is shingles vaccine appropriate? And I would say, again, this needs to be a personal conversation with your doctor based on what is best for you, based on your genetics, history, and all that. But the thing that you can do beyond vaccines is actually make sure that your immune system is healthy. How do we make our immune system healthy? Is we take vitamin D, we make sure that our vitamin D levels are 65 and above. When we're sick, we take some vitamin C, zinc, quercetin, chicken noodle soup, homemade bone broth. And then, you take your magnesium, you sleep well, you hydrate, you actually exercise, you don't eat donuts daily, although I wish I could eat donuts daily. I'm just joking, but things like that. What you really need to do is have a healthy lifestyle yourself so that you don't get sick. And if you do get sick, your immune system is primed to handle whatever antigen comes your way.
Just for the record, I have asked for an intervention with Dr. Lindley on the donuts. So just point of information.
I'm glad, Shell, because maybe she needs to do an intervention on both of us. Maybe this will be like a group project or something for Dr. Lindley. I don't know.
I'm just
The
glad I
global
hate
donut,
donuts.
the global donut initiative. When we can have a donut and when we can't. So
I've been going for that for a while for Mr. Iron up there because he does need to eat. Although I could do that as well, we need to do it together, and we all
Okay.
need each other. So I think we'll go back to Brandy and then Miss
Before we
G.
go to Brandy, did you
Go
Iron
ahead.
Patriot? Do you know that they actually make like a glazed donut sandwich with eggs and sausage in the middle, and then you like cut your donut in half and you make a sandwich? I haven't had one yet, but there is really something about it because you get your protein, you get
yeah,
a little bit, right? It's kind
yes,
of half healthy.
You
You're
probably
not
should have
helping,
never
Dr.
told
Cat.
him
You're,
that.
you're, you're going the opposite direction.
it's like the
Some
grilled
things
cheese in between the glazed donuts. I've heard that's a thing for people who have those grilled cheese places next to them. So
is
anyway,
some things are better left unsaid.
Brandy, go ahead.
Go
All
ahead,
right, all
Brandy. I'm
right. I
sorry.
will be. I will be quick. So absolutely, what you just said, Dr. Lindley, is definitely happening with the elderly. My mom is in her 80s, and this is just a testament as well to everyone on here to share the information that Dr. Cat and the other doctors that you trust on here are sharing out. Because I was able to. They were pushing shingle shot. My sister and I actually have medical power of attorney for her, but she made an appointment to get it without us knowing. I was able to intercept that, start educating her using some of the doctor's information about the shingles shot and what it actually was doing, and that there was protocol out there if you got shingles through people like her naturopath that she was already using. And it quickly changed, was able to give her informed information. She was able to decide that, again, against taking it. So I just want to say, everyone, please share the information these doctors share out. They're not doing this just to hear themselves talk. They're doing this to help us. So again, thank you, Dr. Lindley, and I will step down.
yeah,
That
thank you so much. And G, I want to give you a question for that spot for that last question and comment. But Dr. Lindley, I just want to say, just from a personal note, that it was you talking in a space, and I know it was on Punchbowl. It was well over a year ago, and I took a clip of you talking about the COVID vaccines, right? And it was around the time, maybe it was a little over a year ago, where they were talking about the variants and things. And there was so much information being able to be shared, right, about whether they're even necessary or needed. And I was able to take that information in your clip and convince my elderly in-laws to not have any more jabs, that they were not necessary. And my mother-in-law is one of the most healthy people alive, so it wouldn't have happened without spaces like this where people are aware they can do things like this, like go to some of these resources, get the information that you share, not just on your own and through your own practice, but people like G who dedicate like 3 hours every single morning to giving these voices a chance to get this information out where it's needed. So I just want to say personally, thank you for that. And I'm sure G will have something a little bit more poignant and heartfelt since you guys are such good friends. So G, I'll give you the last question. Fido's going to close us out in prayer, and then we're going to do show requests. And then we have a special song that Lan picked out, and she's got a couple things to say for you, and then we'll close it out for the night because we're right at the top of the hour. So go ahead, G.
Okay. So I am very close with Kat. Kat has, in many ways, saved me and helped my daughter as well while I was very sick this past year. There's always something wrong with me. She could be on call 24/7. I just want to give you a little bit of an insight as to how good of a physician she actually is. So I could send her pictures of something or whatever, or just say a couple of symptoms, and off the bat, Kat knew what I needed to do. And not only for me, but for another friend, where she basically, came in clutch when she needed her and told her also to get to the emergency room immediately. Now, mind you, this is via text and phone call. I've been to many of doctors, and she's heard me complain. I think everybody has, about our medical system and how it works. And they can't diagnose me while seeing me several visits. But yet, Kat knew how to take care of me, knew what I needed, knew what my kid needed, and ensured that we were both well. So I know she's quiet and she will never sing her own praises, but this is someone of, not only, a huge, heart and empathy, but she is higher intellect than most of the people that she converses with in spaces. I'm just going to tell you that. We go into depth with conversations on many of things that you guys questioned her today. And even deeper. Like, she won't say it, but I will. The MAHA movement lost me when you have someone like, what's his name? That stupid freaking, oh God, from England, whatever, Russell Brand. Like,
Russell Brand.
We've had conversations about this. We see a lot eye to eye on a lot of things. So it's kind of scary. I guess that's why we kind of like meshed very well from the beginning. It kind of loses me, the MAHA movement, because it seems very disingenuous. But with Kat, you have to understand, you're not getting that. She is straight up front when she speaks. She speaks with authority, and not only authority, she's principled and stands in what she states. She's not a fly by night. So she's in this movement, like, seriously 10 toes down and deep for the betterment of everyone. So I had to say that because she is a friend, and I want you to just know that bit about her, that she does care. And if you had to reach out to someone, or had to see a doctor or subscribe to a doctor, that is someone you would want to. Okay, just plain and simple. My question for Kat is, because I am her resident personal corrupter, slang teacher, What else? I don't know. I give it all to her. I tell her what certain, like there was a whole certain situation with a box. We won't go into it in this space. We're closing now.
I was
But
just thinking about the box. As soon as you said slang and Shelly's there, that was her space. So she probably has me recorded talking about the box.
I've clipped it and saved it forever.
All I'm going to say is I'm feverishly texting Kat in the background. Girl, stop, shush, quiet. Anyway, she is wonderful. But my question to Kat is this, because Kat has a lot of hobbies. She's a great mom. She just, and I do mean this because I know it firsthand. She juggles 5 kids, several pets, um, an ex-husband who I have a nickname for, which I taught her in American slang, and just many of things across the board, many of boards she's on or things she's involved with aside from her patients. I want to know, Kat, and if you could tell the audience here, what is aside from yogurt and chia seeds and some raw honey, what is your favorite thing to do to unwind aside from talking to foolish people like me?
That's pretty funny. So punch bowl is one of them. At night, as much as I feel like sometimes I can lose brain cells, I do enjoy listening to Cliff and his prostate problems. No, but kidding aside, I'm a musician, so I love playing a guitar. Um, I hate exercise with passion, and I usually exercise when I'm in punch bowl, but I do it 4 or 5 times a week because it's good for you. Best diet in the world is Mediterranean diet. I try to eat, in my opinion, by the way, which again means nothing, but I just feel like it's the most diverse. I like to eat good food. I talk about glazed donuts, but my favorite food is actually pizza. So I like that, and I like to get the massage once in a while.
Tell them how far you travel for a good piece of
Well,
pizza.
so Italian pizza is really good. It's excellent. I haven't actually been in Napoli, and that's where I have to try a pizza because that's where pizza was created, in Napoli. So until I try that, I will still say that the best pizza in the world is in Split. But I do remember I had this Sasher.
No, Kat, the one locally that you travel
Yeah. Well, yeah.
a good.
Yeah, okay. So that one is in Fort Worth. Cane Rosso, which means red dog. I don't know why they call it the red dog, but that's actually Neapolitan style pizza. And I do travel an hour to go buy the pizza for my kids and then bring it back home. I haven't tried New York pizza, so that's on a list of things to do. But essentially, what I do to relax is put my yoga pants on and sit down, listen to music, then don't do much. I'm
I
trying
am
to
not
read.
buying yoga pants, just to make it clear,
Oh,
Listen,
Dr.
oh
that's
Cat.
all
no,
I'm
buy the
reading.
yoga pants. And not only can she play instruments, but she sings like an angel. Just letting y'all know.
So, with that being said, Dr. Cat, if somebody does want to hear you sing, I understand that that is on your Substack. Is that correct?
Oh no, I don't think so. Do I sing on my Substack? I don't think so.
I don't know. Tell us where we can go to hear you sing. Though we
You
would love to
can't.
hear you sing.
But
Oh,
this is an interesting thing. If I didn't have to leave Croatia when I did, I would have become a professional singer. I was actually on track. I was starting to record, and then world happened, and now I'm a doctor in the United States. But actually, before we leave, G and I disagree on one thing. Well, we do disagree on several things sometimes, but this is one important thing. She feels with everything that's happened that American dream is still it's difficult for true Americans to achieve. I'm a still firm believer in American dream because I'm an example of it. I truly remember being in high school. This was like during one of our breaks classes, and I'm losing my religion. I wasn't speaking English at the time, and I'm like writing down the song. I didn't even speak English, and I remember that moment. Like I never once in my life thought that I'm gonna live in the United States. And here I go, kid that grew up in communism, essentially left home, alone, and was able to become a doctor in the United States. I've even met President Trump. By the way, I've shaken his hand. That's another fun story. Has, traveled the world and has been able to accomplish a lot. So I'm a firm believer in American dream, and that's why I continue being involved, because I believe that this nation is a kind of like a lighthouse for people like myself. And that's why, sometimes I do talk about immigration and truly feel that we need to get rid of illegal immigrants, because this country has been formed on legal immigrants like myself. All of your grandparents have immigrated, if that was even a word, to this country at some point in life. And we need to continue for this country to be an American dream that it always has been.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Dr. Cat, we just thank you so much, and we're honored that you come on Liberty X, because here we like to honor the people behind the accounts, and I think hopefully everyone has gotten an amazing view of what an amazing person that you are, and how you've come from one of the most horrible circumstances that our world has had, at least during my lifetime, and then brought goodness and love and kindness to all these people, and health now, and have a passion to help people as other doctors do. Here we try and celebrate that, and we try and celebrate those stories. I'm one of those people that does believe 100% in the American dream. I think it's become more difficult than ever, because we always seem so divided, and our politics have seemed even more and more divided. And there's so much hate that people are doing that they want to result to violence. But we here on Liberty X believe that God is the answer and prayers. So we always like to close with a word of prayer. So if you don't mind, so I'd like to read our verse and then close out with a prayer here. So we're told that one of your favorite verses is Numbers 6:24-26. And it's, the Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine on you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face toward you and give you peace. And Lord, we just pray tonight that you would bring peace to our world in such a turbulent time, in a time where so many people have felt like they've lost hope, that hopefully they've listened, and the people that are here tonight would hear the stories that we're all telling of hope and encouragement and love that you bring to us each day, that through Dr. Kat and all the people she meets and heals, and that all of us will be blessed by you, by our faith, by how we can interact with other people, and just show by little things, whether we are outwardly evangelistic, or whether we're quiet, that our faith can be shown through each one of our actions. And we just pray we can all be more like Dr. Kat and have a passion and a heart for all those around us. So thank you so much for joining us here tonight. And we just thank you, Lord, in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. And actually, Fido, if you don't mind, I'll close us out with this.
Absolutely.
Lord bless you and keep you. Make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. Lord, turn his face toward you and give you peace. Amen. 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 That's it, guys. Thank you for having
You
me.
do have a voice of an
Beautiful.
angel.
You
Faith, hope, and courage. Well,